Okay, this is just a demo that runs well at different speeds. I don't think anyone's going to sew at that speed, but you might. Okay, this is how the throat plate adjusts. You move the lever, which you can't see in the picture. That's the downing position. It's up and steady, but the feed dogs won't hit it. It's where you remove it. You can slide it in and out, see? When you put it down, you want to make sure these little holders here go down flush. Like so. So, I'm going to show you how to wind a bobbin on this 600E model. If you've looked in the manual, you've seen that over here on the other 600s, there's a 2 or 3 stage button that you push down, and that's for setting up the bobbin winding. But this 600E does not have that. Instead, it has this arrangement here, and that's the bobbin case, the proper one for this machine, which has a screw and 2 other holes. There's a similar one, which is this one. Everyone says it should work, but notice this is sticking out way further than that. There's other differences. It won't let it wind the bobbin properly, but it will tend to sew properly. And this is the bobbin. Notice it's bigger on one side than the other. You just put it in this way. Lift this up, put this in there, put that down. Now I'm going to set this camera on the tripod so I can do the rest of this. Okay, now I'm going to put the throat plate back in. That's not part of the bobbin winding, but it has to be in. Slides in there, move this button down, it's in properly. You thread the machine like you normally would for sewing, and the switches must be in A, K, and stitch width at 3. That's a requirement. That's just your normal straight stitching mode. So in order to wind this bobbin, it'd be down. You'd open it up, push this button here, that pops up. Wrap this around here and hold it, and you just sew at a moderate space. Now you can't see it, but it's winding around in there. And you're not supposed to wind it more than the furthest, the biggest line there. You know, you don't want to fill the bobbin up past that outer line. So, that's it. And when you're done, you just close this. That'll push the lever down and put it back into the sewing mode. And you can take something and pull your bobbin out, and it's ready to sew. And that's as easy as it is to wind the bobbin. Now, let me take this out and show you. I'm going to release this switch, this throat plate, so I can get it out. Oh, needle's in there. Okay. Doesn't come out so easy, so I'm going to take the whole thing out. There we go. Cut that, and show you, it's wound up pretty good. That's the bottom side, that's the top side. And that's all there is to winding the bobbin. Slides in there. Okay, now this is a close-up of the controls for setting stitch width and patterns and zigzagging. Right now it's set in A, this goes A to J. Set in K, this goes K to R, and then special for the special discs that you might put in there. And this is the stitch width pattern. For straight stitching, you just leave it in AK3 as I just showed you. To adjust these, you push them in and then slide them along and make sure it comes all the way out. That one didn't come out, it's only part way. The little line indicator won't always line up exactly with the letter. Same with this top one. Push it in and make sure it pops out. That one. See, so you want to make sure they're all the way out. Now, when I refer to these switches controls anymore, it's going to be these, even though you may not see it. If I say I'm going to set it on B, I'm setting this on B, and if I don't tell you I'm moving this, I don't move it, and the same with this. So some people are going to know how to use this, but someone seen this for the first time may not know that. See, the light works, but I got other lights on, kind of defeating that. So that's what's going on there. Over here is a stitch length control. There's a presser foot adjustment here. You can change the presser foot pressure. This, of course, is the ever tension adjustment. Just so you know what I'm talking about when I say these. You'll have pictures of it, and then, you know, the pictures in the manual. Okay, up here on the top there's a chart for your basic settings. How to do a single needle, straight stitch, you set everything to AK3. Double needle, straight stitch, you set to AK2. Zigzagging with a double needle, you set to AL3. That's well, you can't see them. Up here it shows how to run the width control. Here it shows your basic patterns that you can get with these cams, with these switches. And here is basic combination patterns that you can create. And it shows you how to put in the special discs, which we have several of those. So I'm just going to show you a couple of these things. Now, it'll do a double needle. You can either buy one of those fancy double needles where you have one shaft and two needles, or it'll take two number 14s. You can just slide them right in there. Okay, once you wind that bobbin, or reel as they call it, you just pull enough of it up through there to get some little tails like this, and you're ready to sew. We're going to sew a straight stitch on this, and on these controls, which you have pictures of, you set to AK3. That positions the cams for a straight stitch. And it's a fairly long stitch, short stitch, the longest stitch, reverse, and that's a straight stitch. I've sewed other things on here before, but I left the tails on, only the ones I just sewed. And that's the back side. On the slant needle, sewing machine guy, that's as good as the back bobbin side gets. So there it is. Okay, so now we're going to do a zigzag stitch. And it says put BL. And I can put the selector at any place from 1 to 3 in the number of stitches. I got about 12 stitches per inch selected here, and set on the widest. So here's where we go. Sets wide, threads out, we'll move the stitch width away. Small, move it up a little more, make it shorter, make it wide and shorter. So that's all good. Now for another switch is BM. We'll change this to M on the pattern selector. And that's going to be like a bunch of ovals. You can shorten that by using the fine control, you know, make it tighter. You can make it narrower. I've got it on the widest width. We'll do one of the combination patterns, which we'll try H and L here. H is on the bottom and L's on the top. Position that's in the wrong place. Okay. That's going to be squares on opposite sides. Supposed to be anyways. Let's turn it. Okay, turn it. And go back down the other way. What did I do wrong? Oh, supposed to put the lever at 3. Now we'll try it. There we go. See? You shorten the stitch length, it'll get closer together. I didn't have the lever at 3, so that's what was wrong there. And there's a bunch of patterns there. We have special discs. When you put a special disc in, you move the pattern selector away from the word special, which it is, and just put it in there. Then you bring this over to special. I'm not sure what you do with the other ones. So let's turn this around. I think we're getting a combination here. Getting a little bow in, so I'm going to move this back to A where I think it should be. There we go. It's making the little cloud things. Okay, got a number 3 disc in there, and that's a diamond pattern. Make it a little tighter. So as you can see, I'm not an expert at this. I'm just showing you that this stuff works. And let me take this out. Now this was sewn through just the 2 layers of the Naugahyde. So there we are. Backside's nice. Okay, now we're back to the straight stitch. Gonna sew plain old jeans. 4 layers of it. Gonna go across that seam. I hope. I have trouble on that gas pedal. Getting my foot on it. And there we go. And it looks like I ran out of bobbin. And lo and behold, I did. See, the bobbin's empty. Gonna have to rewind it. There's the jeans. Now again, more leather. This is 4 layers of upholstery leather. Again, it's 4.5 millimeters more or less thick. Stick it under there. Take it out. There we go. Now people like to see these machines sew something heavier, so here's a belt. Imported Italian leather. I bought it at a thrift shop just for this purpose. Let's see how it does here. Okay, let's hit the gas. Get that out of there. As you can see, sewed a nice stitch, both sides. A little bit thicker belt. Again, I've sewed on it before, but I've cut off the extension so you know which one I'm doing. This one's 4.5 millimeters thick. Instructions always say to bring that needle in to get it started, so that's what we're doing. Okay. Okay. Again, a nice stitch, both sides. Okay, this demonstration is to show double needle sewing. You put one spool here on the regular one, you can put in one here on this one. Now you can either use that or remove this fixture and use this one. There's holes underneath. This one stays better. You know, a little bit of tape could make that one go. You have to make sure when you thread it that you thread them both the same way. And when you get here, remember that there's 2 pressure discs there and you need 1 thread. You know, each thread gets its own set of discs. There's actually 3 discs, so 2 openings. Otherwise you thread it the normal way, around, down, and the manual says to use 2 number 14 needles. I happen to have a Singer double needle on one thing. That's what I'm using, but it positions them exactly the same way. And I'm using this black material so you can see it, and the white and beige thread. And I'm going to put this back up on the tripod so I can sew. Okay, I've already started it, as you can see back here, but we're going to sew. Take it out. There's 3 threads now, 1 bobbin thread still, and you know, that's what it looks like on the top, and that's what the bobbin side looks like, because there's 2 threads, you know, and 1 bobbin that gives that zigzag pattern. And so that's how that works. Okay, the other option that I told you about is, instead of having this assembly here, which this is what it's supposed to be, but that's one I had to fashion because I couldn't get one, just to stick this in this hole here, set that up there, and sew that way. Both of them work. These red foams are, all this red foam is what I had replaced the original dried out, worn out foam that was there, so this is as original as we can get it. But that's how it works. It's a good machine. This is the needle that I was telling you about. That's made for the Singer. It's 2 14s, number 14s, or you can use 2 number 14s. Notice how the part that attaches to the machine is off to one side, so it positions in there just like 2 needles side by side would. So you can do this, or you can use 2 number 14 needles. And just wanted to make